nearly about ready.
No, he brought his dog in here.
He's retiring tonight,
Who, the dog?
the dog. Andy James, he's actually a sworn police officer. The dog. And he's retiring tonight.
Your baby doing okay?
Yeah,
That's
doing real good. All right, let's crank up here.
Because I know she did know. Exactly.
I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening, and as we head into summer, we've got a busy schedule, so bear with us, but thank you so much for coming out tonight. First, I will ask Aaliyah Alston to come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Lisa.
Lisa.
Wait a minute. We need the flag to do this. Okay. Thank you. Aaliyah, if you would just wait right there. I would ask for approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve?
Second?
All in favor? Motion carries. Okay. I'm going to stand over here. Can y'all hear me? Reason I say that was that it's been said that it's hard to hear out in the audience because of the way this podium is turned. So this is what I'm going to do to try to fix that tonight. But each month we honor a student from one of the Zebulon public school systems. This month is Zebulon GT Magnet Elementary School, and we honor both a student and a teacher. So the student this month is Aaliyah Alston. Aaliyah, if you would come to the podium with me and bear with me 1 minute. I read what was written about Aaliyah. It says, Aaliyah Alston has demonstrated high standards and superb character for the entirety of her 5th grade year. She drives herself in all areas of academia as well as all aspects of PRIDE, our acronym for positive behavior. Oftentimes when students enter the 5th grade, they use it as an opportunity to relax and play around. Not Aaliyah. She started this year with passion and energy, and not only does Aaliyah demonstrate PRIDE behavior, but she encourages her peers to make the right decisions about how they behave in school. Aaliyah has had a profound impact on the climate of Zebulon Elementary. It is no coincidence that a student with outstanding character would also have 3s and 4s in all classes. Congratulations to Aaliyah Alston as she represents Zebulon Elementary School and the Zebulon community as our Spotlight Student of the Month. Our teacher is Rebecca Strickland. That's good. Give me a chance to get my act together. Okay. Rebecca Strickland is a kindergarten teacher at Zebulon GT Magnet Elementary School. In addition, she is a mother, mentor, leader, a planner, an organizer, a sympathizer, and a problem solver. This may seem like a lot of hats to wear at one time, but Ms. Strickland has mastered them all. In her classroom as a kindergarten teacher, despite having some challenging students, Ms. Strickland greets her students daily with a smile. She manages to find the positive characteristics for each student, and she focuses on improving the positive. After each demanding day teaching kindergarten to 18 energetic students, Ms. Strickland takes on the role of planner and problem solver as the chair of our PBIS committee. Ms. Strickland leads a group of staff in implementing effective strategies to manage student behaviors. After that, Ms. Strickland transforms into a PTA representative. As a member of the PTA, Ms. Strickland has helped lead the Zebulon Elementary School art auction, as well as host other events to engage and benefit our parents. Finally, at the end of the day, Ms. Strickland goes home to her own children and her husband. She attends to her home with the same passion and commitment she gives to the students of Zebulon Elementary School. And I am truly excited to recognize Ms. Strickland for her professionalism and contagious positive outlook. We are all so thankful for everything Ms. Strickland does for our school. That is one of the fun parts of being the mayor. Next, we have a proclamation that I get to read. And it is a proclamation designating July as Park and Recreation Month. Whereas parks and recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout this country, including the town of Zebulon, and whereas our parks and recreation are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our communities, ensuring the health of all citizens, and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of a community and region. And whereas parks and recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic disease, provide therapeutic recreation services for those who are mentally or physically disabled, and also improve the mental and emotional health of all citizens. And whereas parks and recreation programs increase a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, and the attraction and retention of businesses and crime reduction. And whereas parks and recreation areas are fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community, and whereas parks and natural recreation areas improve water quality, protect our groundwater, prevent flooding, improve the quality of the air we breathe, provide vegetative buffers to development, and produce habitat for wildlife. And whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month, and whereas the town of Zebulon recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of the town of Zebulon that July is recognized as Park and Recreation Month, proclaimed this the 4th day of June 2018. So I would ask for a motion.
Make a motion that we accept this proclamation.
Motion made and second. All in favor? And the motion carries. So thank you. Next we have, a presentation from the Chamber. Denise?
Good evening, Mayor and members of the board. On behalf of the Zebulon Chamber of Commerce, our board of directors, and the members we represent, we're here to share our annually scheduled update relating to our partnership for economic development for the good of the Zebulon community. I'll briefly mention highlights from this year's agreement, then share relative areas of progress based on what's occurred since your update in December. So key points from the 2017-18 agreement. Partnership included the Chamber partnering with the town to create local job opportunities by attracting new businesses and encouraging business startups. The Chamber partnering with the town to recognize and support local agricultural and farming business. The Chamber partnering with the town to promote downtown through special events, and the Chamber partnering with the town to increase quality employment opportunities while ensuring the sustainability of the economy and improving the general quality of life. In December, at our report out, we shared the results from holiday happenings and the ways that increased visibility for downtown. That same weekend of holiday happenings, we celebrated a ribbon cutting and a business opening for Comic World. Eric and Eva Heberlin already had a business that's a farm fresh market vendor, and Clay Creations participated with the Chamber's Holiday Happenings pop-up vendor market the day after Comic World opened. The Heberlins recently launched a third business, Magic Coffee Beans, and they're also a farm fresh market vendor. You may have seen them interviewed by the mayor for East Wake TV just a few weeks ago. Comic World is already very involved. They participated in Zebulon Middle School's Career Day last month, and they also gave away free comic books in conjunction with May Day and National Comic Book Day. I tell you all this to share that your leadership as a board is having a positive impact. Eva and her Clay Creations got involved with the Farm Fresh Market because it gave her an avenue for getting her goods to market, literally. Eric's comic book store was able to grow legs because space was available downtown and he could open without cumbersome limitations. Joining the Chamber gave them some access to an audience they were not already reaching and put them in the spotlight with a ribbon cutting. When creative entrepreneurs see success and sense there's a space for them to continue to create, they do just that. Eric's Magic Coffee Beans venture is proof of that. So the takeaway is for us to all just be encouraged about the work that's happening. We're doing things right by partnering together for community and economic development, and we're creating the kind of business climate that's inviting to entrepreneurs like the Heberlins. As an extension of this story, both large and micro entrepreneurs respond positively and look for ways to be a part of the growth when they know that there's a healthy ecosystem for community. The nearly 6 acres from GSK that's going to be gifted to the town is an expression of a large business that's looking for ways to invest in the community they serve. Troy Webb, the current site director, wants to see the land used for the good of our youth. And on a side note, both Troy and his wife Jen ran in the 5K at May Day this past year, which I thought was a nice touch as far as their wanting to be involved with the community. Another topic for review, as you heard at last week's work session, is Mark Hetrick and I have begun working hand in hand to start conversations with building owners and begin marketing available buildings to businesses that are interested in opening or relocating here. The budget that you're reviewing for the upcoming year will expand the partnership between our organizations. At the Chamber's Board of Directors retreat earlier this year, and in response to the town's board retreat in February, we continue to see a good path for growth for Zebulon, and we believe our work together aligns for a mutual vision for good, solid programming, and support for the community and economic growth for the citizens and the businesses that we serve. We look forward to another year of partnering with you, and that's the end of our report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Guess not. Thank you. Next we have a public hearing on an annexation request at 2340 Zebulon Road. Staff? So I will call the public hearing to order. Anyone wishing to speak, please come to the podium because we do record these meetings. So having said that, I'll ask for staff report.
Yes, so the public hearing will be an ordinance to annex a property at 2340 Zebulon Road. The ordinance would be 2018-37. Here you can see the property hashed in red, and it is bordered by Weaver's Pond. This would be this development here, and this would be the school as well, to give you an idea of where this is. And this would, of course, be Zebulon Road or Highway 90, NC 96. The applicant is Robert Moore and Anthony Moore. The current zoning is R40, and it's a Wake County zoning jurisdiction. It's currently in Wake County's planning jurisdiction. The current use would be vacant. It is 34 and a half acres roughly. It is contiguous in that it connects with Weaver's Pond, which is currently in town limits. So the comprehensive plan only defines the request area as a long-range urban service area. It does immediately border Weaver's Pond, which is defined as medium-density residential. And so if you were to apply the medium-density residential idea to the property, that would be 3 to 4 units per acre, or dwelling units per acre, and medium density can be made up of multiple different types of housing. So that could be a combination of single-family to multifamily dwellings that would average out to be that 3 to 4 acres or units per acre. And then based on that 4 dwelling units per acre, the requested area of roughly 35 acres will yield an estimated 140 dwelling units, which would then, based on census averages, add to the town's population by 367 people. The transportation plan shows NC 96 from Proctor north to Farrell Road as a 3-lane highway with a ditch and sidewalks on both sides of the roadway. And then special use permit 2018-02, which was the update to the Weaver's Pond special use permit, has conditions relating to transportation improvements such as a traffic signal with north and southbound turn lanes at the intersection of 96 and Pippin Road. So Greenway Bicycle and Pedestrian Master Plan, Corridor 1 will cross the Weaver's Pond subdivision to the east of the request area, and then during the special use or site plan review process, trailhead and connections to this corridor will be made to the extent possible. We currently have no Parks and Recreation Master Plan to assess any sort of park and recreation aspect of this property. Water and sewer allocation. So the allocation is not being requested at this time. If the 35-acre lot developed as a 4 dwelling units per acre, again, the town may see a request of 35,000 gallons per day, and the town has enough allocation to accommodate the potential future request. So the fiscal analysis, which was attached as attachment 7 in your packet, gives a detailed fiscal analysis for the potential annexation. A more definitive and accurate reflection of the cost and revenue can only occur when the site is fully developed. As we don't know how the site will develop, we can only estimate. And capital cost and property tax revenues dedicated towards capital costs are not shown in the analysis. A notice of public hearing was mailed to all property owners within 150 feet of the subject property. The site was posted with public hearing signs. The notice of public hearing was properly advertised in the Zebulon Times. We directed the clerk to investigate sufficiency April 2nd, 2018, and sufficiency was met April 16th, 2018. So ordinance 2018-37 is requesting annexation effective immediately, and the requested board action would be to motion to annex proposed area effective immediately with the approval of the ordinance 2018-37.
Questions? Let me point out that the ordinance itself is later. This
Yeah.
is the public hearing. It's just the public hearing at this point. So the board is to hear any comments that someone may have. So, having said that, and no questions from the board, is there anyone that wishes to speak? Yes, sir.
Franklin Finch. I have almost 7 acres of land that adjoins the 35 acres that are being considered. It is currently Class 2, which is farm use value. And I'd like to know from the Board of Commissioners what the long-term plan is for that coming out to my property line. I have 4 additional acres on Zebulon Road, for a total of 12 acres of farm use land. And I'd like to know that and bring that to your attention, that that has been part of my family's farm acreage. And I want to know if there is potential of rezoning that to be in town versus farm use, and what the commissioners would suggest are the recommendations.
I'll try to answer that. And if I get in trouble, I'll get Mark to help me. But that is not within our jurisdiction, meaning it is zoned by Wake County. And we do not have the authority to force annex under that situation. Typically, while we do long-range planning of how we may see a piece of property being used, it's really in the hands of the property owner to come to us and say, this is what I want to do with it. And that's what's happened in this case. So I don't think I can specifically answer. Mark, do you have anything that you could add to that? Nothing specific with we plan to do this or that, or we plan to annex it or rezone it. We don't do that. We don't instigate that. You as the landowner would do that. Okay?
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Yes, I'm Gail Finch, and I own property at 2512 Zebulon Road. My question is about the traffic study. I was also here with the Weaver Pond development, and it is talked about in that study about if this acreage goes, it just says that the long-range plan to put the stoplights in, but is there anything in that traffic study to talk about reducing the speed in that area? Because the speed of the highway, right where that property is, and all that is still at 55 miles per hour. It changes right there at Glory Road. And it is very difficult to enter the highway right there.
Okay.
So that's my question.
I'll try to answer that as well. Typically, what happens as development evolves, the state of North Carolina does change the speed limits, and it's within their control to do that, not ours. Now, what we will do is ask them when we feel that something needs to be looked at, for them to come look at it, and I think they would do that considering the development here. Now, with regards to a traffic signal, we don't put those in either. The state of North Carolina puts them in. We ask them to take a look at situations, and they come out and do an analysis, and they have a score sheet, and I'm sorry, I can't go through the score sheet. But
the score sheet didn't, at the last presentation, didn't seem to take in, mainly at the busy times of day in the area.
Right.
But I don't know how they score it, but
Well, I don't either.
I know what the reality is.
But what I'm saying is the state scores it.
Yeah.
So you've heard the statement before, somebody has to die before they'll put one in.
Yep.
There's some truth to that, unfortunately.
Well, there's been a number of accidents right there in front of our homes right there.
Right.
So it
Well,
is a concern.
That's as good as I can answer your question. Would you have anything to add to that, our planning director? Okay.
So basically, when someone dies, somebody may do
No,
something about
please
it.
don't go away just thinking that. It does enter into the scoring, is what I'm
Yeah.
telling you. But no, don't go off and say, oh, the mayor said when somebody dies, we'll get a light out here, because that's just not true. But it is part of the scoring, which has to do with the hazard of the area and the hazard of the intersections and that sort of thing. But again, it's up to the state of North Carolina DOT to do
So
that.
is there a recommendation at the state that we can call that as an individual?
I'm sure there is, and if you would get with our planning department, they'd be glad to give you that information. I don't know it off the top of my
Okay.
head, but, we have DOT board, we also have engineers, so I'm sure that they'll be happy to share that information with you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sure.
Tommy Pate, live at 2333 Zebulon Road, which is right across Interstate 96 from this property. Like Gail Finch said, everybody should come out and try it sometime in the mornings and afternoons. And I just feel like, well, you say you got enough water and sewer, but I think Zebulon and the surrounding area, with what's going on Old Bun Road, Weaver's Pond, Tarrant Lake, I think we got enough rooftops. But if y'all decide to annex this property, we've got a little over 100 acres across 96 from it that we might want to get annexed too. We'd expect the same treatment.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Anyone else wishing to speak? Okay, well, I'll close the public hearing and appreciate the comments from people. And we will consider this later in the evening. Next, we have a public hearing on the budget for fiscal year 2018-19. Joe?
Good evening, Mayor and members of the board. In accordance with the Local Government Budget and Fiscal Control Act, the town manager submitted the FY19 budget and budget message to the Board of Commissioners in this room on May 7th. The board subsequently convened 3 budget work sessions on May 15th, 23rd, and 31st in order to hear detailed components of that budget, as well as hear and offer public input on the budget. That budget also was made available here at Town Hall and in local library as well. The budget public hearing is the final statutory requirement in the budget development process. There is no discussion before the board at this time. This is just the opportunity to hear comments on the FY 2019 budget that was presented to you.
Thank you. All right, anyone wishing to speak with regards to the budget?
This is the one time of the year I feel like I have to say something to you. My name is Donald Horton. I reside at 618 Stratford Drive, Zebulon, North Carolina. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight regarding the proposed FY 2019 budget, and to thank each of you for your dedication to serve the taxpayers and citizens of the town of Zebulon. Your tireless efforts in attending a retreat and many work sessions to discuss proposals from each other and staff are greatly appreciated. I also want to commend Town Manager Joe Moore and his staff for the detailed documentation provided for each budget request. That information clearly demonstrates how each item meshes with and builds on the foundation created by your adoption of FY 2018 budget, and continues to clarify and improve the blueprint for the future of the town of Zebulon. The mayor and board members are also to be commended for their efforts in exercising due diligence in evaluating the proposed budget during their 3-week work session. Even after all the time and effort spent by elected officials and staff in retreats and other settings, and the untold hours spent by staff to develop the proposed FY 2019 budget document to accurately reflect the wishes of all parties, it was refreshing, particularly in today's political environment, to see respectful discourse when needed to clarify and adjust particular budget line items when necessary. After a detailed review of the 284-page proposed FY 2019 budget and attending your 3 budget work sessions, I believe that the budget was thoughtfully prepared and clearly presented by Mr. Moore and the staff. All current and future residents and taxpayers of the town of Zebulon continue to be truly blessed by having such qualified and dedicated staff that not only look at funding for current needs, but continues to develop a solid financial foundation for the future of our growing town. Yes, I'm fully aware that to fund the budget will require a small tax increase. While no one relishes the idea of paying more taxes, I feel this action has been soundly justified at this time. To put the increase in the tax rate in perspective, it would only increase the taxes on my house and lot by less than 57 cents a week or $30 a year. That is a small price to pay to maintain a solid financial foundation while providing adequate qualified staff, maintain our assets, and serve and protect our citizens. In summary, I believe as a result of a lot of hard work and collaboration between elected officials and staff, you have collectively developed a sound proposed FY 2019 budget, and I thank you for that effort. Therefore, as a taxpayer and citizen of the town of Zebulon, I recommend that you vote tonight for the adoption of the budget as presented. Thank you again for allowing me to speak tonight.
Thank you, Don. Anyone else wishing to speak on the budget?
My name is Tommy Massey, and tonight I want to share some of the thoughts shared by members of the Zebulon Division. We have followed the information contained in the coming year's budget and were puzzled by something called Little River drainage. We have heard all along that there was no money for improvements to the park, yet in the budget, $45,700 is included for this item with an overall cost projection of $187,000 financed over the next 7 years. Our group has pledged our cooperation in any way that we might help, including working to secure grant dollars for improvements to the park while still hoping that we can obtain FEMA funding for the repair of the dam. It seems that work is being planned without a long-term strategy being in place. We wanted to raise this concern because it appears that at any time you see fit, you advocate for financing expensive costs without exploring grant opportunities that we have privately been assured are available. We will appreciate your thoughts on this matter.
Thank you, Don. Anyone else wishing to speak? Okay, having said that, then I will close the public hearing, and again, this is later on our agenda as well. Each week we have what I like to call open mic, where people can come forward and speak. Do we have anyone tonight?
I have to ask Tommy, do you wish to speak again? Because you signed up for consent. No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor? And motion carries. Thank you. Old business, annexation, ordinance 2018-37. What's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion that we adopt 2018-37.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Other comments or discussion? All in favor? And the motion carries. Thank you. Rezoning request, Timothy Peel.
Make a motion.
No. She needs to give a report first.
So it's a request by Timothy R. Peel to rezone approximately a half acre located at 101 West McIver Street. Again, it's located at 101 West McIver Street. It's currently a single-family home zoned residential R10. And the proposed rezoning would be transitional residential. This is the property here outlined in red, and then this would be Town Hall, and this would be North Arundel Avenue. Again, the property with red hatch marks, the white outline properties were notified by mail. Again, this would be Town Hall and North Arundel Avenue. Here we see transitional residential in light green and R10 residential zoning in the orange color. The surrounding properties are owned by, there are transitional residential to the north that is currently residential use, transitional residential to the east that's currently a medical office. Residential R10 to the south, and then residential R10 as well to the east, or to the west. And so the land use for this particular property and for the area is traditional neighborhood as described in the comprehensive plan. Again, and all the surrounding properties are also traditional neighborhood. Traditional neighborhood can be described as a grid or connected street pattern with houses oriented to the street. There's going to be limited commercial uses, schools, churches, and home businesses. Parks and open spaces and areas are roughly scattered through adjacent to neighborhoods. You're going to have 4 to 8 units per acre, a mix of housing types, limited commercial uses serving the neighborhoods, and necessary facilities on the outskirts of neighborhoods such as grocery store, pharmacies, schools, and fire stations. To give you an overview of the permitted uses allowed between the two zoning districts, the current zoning district R10, conservation subdivisions, dwellings, 2-family and family care homes are allowed in R10 but not allowed in transitional residential. Schools, single-family homes, daycare centers, places of worship, and whatnot are allowed in transitional residential and R10. And then a list of mostly commercial uses to the right here are allowed in transitional residential but not R10, including banks, offices, pets and grooming store, nursing care institutions. The more complete table of uses is included in the board packet agenda. This is just a brief overview. So the application was verified, notification requirements were met, the legal advertisement was published in the Zebulon Times, and staff recommends to deny rezoning 2018-02, and the planning board recommendation was also to deny this rezoning request. The requested action before you today would be to make a determination.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have any questions? Okay. Now you can do it.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we accept the planning board's recommendation and deny 2018-2.
I would ask that you would reference the board motion requirements as well in the staff report. It's the second page of the staff report.
So noted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. 2 seconds. Okay. Okay. Other comments or questions? All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Strategic Plan 2030.
The town of Zebulon has completed a year-long effort gathering community feedback and developing that feedback into the vision, mission, focus areas, and tactical actions of the Zebulon 2030 strategic plan. The goal of this effort was to adopt the Zebulon 2030 strategic plan in conjunction with the FY 2019 budget and 5-year capital improvement plan. The discussion before the board tonight is as follows. Adopt the Zebulon 2030 strategic plan as proposed, modify the Zebulon 2030 strategic plan, or table the discussion until the June 13th work session. With us tonight is Warren Miller of Fountain Works to give you a brief recap of where we are with the Zebulon 2030 plan to date.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you for having me. What I'd like to do is to review the highlights of your strategic plan that you have in front of you on your screens. This plan was created through citizen involvement. Plan was created through employee and citizen input. Plan was then developed through your retreat, Plan was then written and worked on with staff, and then you're now at the point, if and when you adopt this plan, to begin implementing it. So I want to give you the highlights. It did include a citizen survey with 189 responses, a citizen focus group with 35 residents. It included an employee focus group and a 2-day board retreat. In the citizen and employee input, again, that included those 4 aspects of the survey, the town senior management, the citizen focus group, and the employee focus group. There was a 2-day board retreat, and in that retreat, you, as a board, developed your vision, your mission, your goals, your actions. Phase 3 of this process was with staff and Fountain Works working again with you to refine and finalize the strategic plan. And phase 4 is the beginning of the implementation. Those were the steps of the plan. I want to walk through the highlights of the plan itself. Your mission, as you've developed in this plan, Zebulon is committed to enhancing the quality of life of our residents by delivering excellent, friendly services and fostering collaboration within our community. The mission is your fundamental purpose of this organization. Your vision, Zebulon is a vibrant, growing community that maintains its small-town charm and heritage. Vision defines what you aspire to be. In addition, you have your values that guide your work. These include honesty, integrity, family, respect, dependability, and teamwork. The plan has 3 focus areas. Those focus areas: vibrant downtown, small town life, growing smart. And I'll go through these in a bit more detail. The vibrant downtown has 2 overarching goals: revitalizing the downtown area of Zebulon and developing events and entertainment and cultural attractions to draw people downtown. The small town life focus area includes these goals: promoting more community events and festivals, enhance and create more community gathering places, and increasing the connectedness and walkability in the community. And your 3rd focus area is growing smart. Plan for appropriate land use to meet the transportation and housing needs, pursue economic development opportunities with our community partners, and maintain appropriate staffing to support expected service levels for the growing community. When this plan was completed, it was sent out to the public, and what you're looking at is a slide of the public's response. Most respondents were very supportive of the plan and agreed with the focus areas. In this slide, we've highlighted some of the most frequent comments in order of how frequently they were mentioned. These comments are generally covered under the plan's focus areas of downtown, smart growth, and small town life. There were a few comments about the lack of specificity in the plan in terms of when and how it will be implemented and how you will measure success. This plan is intentionally broad to serve as a guide for your future decision making. And this coming year's budget is tied to the focus area framework, and in future years, the linkages will be even stronger once the plan is adopted. So with that, I want to say, on behalf of my colleague Julie Brenman, I want to say thank you, and again, open it up for any questions that you might have about your strategic plan.
Question? Guess not, Lauren. So what's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion we approve the strategic plan Zebulon 2030.
Second.
Motion made, second. Other comments or discussion? All in favor? And the motion carries. Thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
All right, we get into new business board appointments. You doing that?
That would be me.
Okay.
what we've got is we've got appointments for 3 boards. Starting off with our planning board, we have several vacancies. Daryl has resigned because he's moved out of Zebulon ETJ into the county. And then I got an email from Kenny Waldrop, who has also had to resign as well. So we have 2 vacancies. Daryl is the ETJ representative, and then Kenny would be an in-town representative, and Jean Blunt is interested in continuing on as an in-town member. So what you have in your packet is Jean Blunt. His application is there for an in-town position, and then Laura Johnson was interested in continuing on in her position, so she is an ETJ representative, and you have her application. And Stephanie Jenkins is a member of your Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, and she has expressed an interest in serving as an ETJ representative on the planning board if the board is interested in moving her from one board to another.
Okay, just to be clear, what we have is 2 in town and 2 out of ETJ. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
We have 2 applications for the in-town. We only have 1 application for the ETJ.
Well, you have here Laura and Stephanie Jenkins, ETJ.
Sorry, I said it backwards. We have 2
Okay.
ETJ applications and
So-
1 in-town.
Okay, I just want to be clear what we're doing. So assuming these people are appointed this way, and for clarification, extraterritorial jurisdiction members are not appointed by us, so we make a recommendation to Wake County. So actually, Wake County government makes those appointments. We'll still have 1 vacancy in town on the planning board.
That would be correct.
Okay, all right. Okay, what y'all want to do?
I'll make a motion that we accept those that request being on those boards.
Second.
Okay, so to be clear, Dale, the motion is to request the county to appoint Laura Johnson and Stephanie Jenkins, and then in town reappoint Jean Blunt.
That's correct.
Okay, just want to be precise. We've got a second on it. Other comments or discussion? All in favor? And the motion carries. Thank you. All right, Lisa?
All right, for the next board, what we've got is our Parks and Recreation Board, and Foy Waters passed away, so we have a vacancy there. Taylor Griswold has resigned because he is not able to serve at this point in time. So, and then we have, Alan Boyette, who is interested in serving on that board and continuing. They are not designated by ETJ or in town, they're just kind of straight representatives. And then, since you've appointed Stephanie to the Parks and Rec Board, you're going to have that vacancy as well. So right now, the only application I have for that board is Alan Boyette. So we still are searching for some others to fill those vacancies.
So if we appoint Alan, we still have 2 vacancies that we need to fill, again, for clarification.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
I'm sorry, that's 3 vacancies, because
Pardon?
you have 3 vacancies. Foy Waters, Stephanie Jenkins, and then Taylor Griswold.
Okay, so we have 3 vacancies, assuming we reappoint Alan Boyette.
Correct.
Okay, all right. What is the size of that board?
Pardon me?
How many are on that board?
7.
Okay. It's a pretty heavy hit. Okay, what's your pleasure?
Motion to appoint Alan Boyette to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board.
Second.
Motion made, second. Comments or discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Board of Adjustment.
For the Board of Adjustment, we have in-town Jay Estes is up for reappointment, and he has submitted an application for his position. We have James Mitchell, who had to resign because he moved to Wendell, so that creates a vacancy. Those are our regular board members, and then we have an alternate vacancy that was created by Ms. Moore, becoming a board member. So we have an alternate, and then as the ETJ, David Hughes did not seek reappointment, and then we have an alternate vacancy there as well. So right now, we only have one application to fill all of these slots.
So again, just for clarification, if we appoint Jay, we will have one regular and one alternate in town opening, and ETJ we will have 3?
One regular and one alternate.
One regular, one ETJ?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Lisa, how do we advertise? How do we advertise openings on the boards? Through the website or?
We have advertised on Facebook, Instagram, and our webpage.
Get in response?
We've had some people inquire. We've had one person who's inquired and wants some more information, so that may come forward a little bit sooner. Hopefully, maybe we can get with Mark at the Zebulon Times, and we can do an article that would maybe get some more interest as well.
Lisa, when the deadline for that?
When was the deadline?
I said, when is it?
Right
we have
now, it's whenever.
Oh, okay.
Because we have so many vacancies. So
Oh,
the
okay.
sooner they can get with me, the better. They can just call me.
Okay.
Okay. So the appointment is up for JSDs.
I make a motion we approve JSD's
Okay.
to the Board of Adjustments.
All right.
Second.
Made and second. Other comments or discussion? All in favor? Okay, all right. Thank you. And to the people in the audience, if you're interested in really getting involved, this is a good way to do it. So you might look into it, and Lisa will be happy to give you any information. And anybody up here would be glad to answer any questions for you as well. Okay. We have a police officer retiring tonight, and he is a four-legged officer by the name of Rocco. So, Tim?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. We have with us tonight Rocco. He's sniffing a purse right there, so hopefully there's nothing in there. Anyhow, just about 6.5 years ago, a little over 6 years ago, we acquired Rocco, a German Shepherd from the Czech Republic. And Rocco came to us and was immediately assigned to a canine handler, Jesse Brown. So Jesse has been Rocco's only handler. So he's been with us about 6 years. He was about 1.5 years old when we purchased him. And the reason that is because the canines undergo a lot of training before they meet up with a handler. They have about 1 year's worth of training, and then they meet up with a handler. Then they have another 6 months or so of training once they get with the handler. So Rocco's now about 7.5 years old. We did hope to get about another year, maybe 2 years out of Rocco's, what we were kind of hoping for. But we had some things that changed, and the first and foremost in those changes is with the canine handler, Officer Jesse Brown. Officer Brown is going from a part-time or full-time status to a part-time status because of some issues with his family business, and he's kind of taking over that family business. So he'll be going to part-time with us. And with the dog being 7.5 years old and all of the amount of training that it takes to train a new handler with this dog, the dog would be another year old before we could put him with another handler. And that would be even if the dog would function with another handler. Since Rocco has been with Officer Brown his entire career, they have a strong bond, a long bonding period. And with a young dog, we could probably transition that dog pretty quick. But a dog that we have only 1 year, 1.5 years, 2 years at the max to be using in patrol, we think it's appropriate to go ahead and retire Rocco. Rocco's a big dog, as you can see. And big dogs also have a few more health problems and joint problems and things like that, as you probably know with most big dogs. But Rocco's done a great job for us. We'll be coming back to you in August and asking for you to do a proclamation recognizing Rocco for all the drugs he's found and all the suspects he's tracked and all those sorts of things. But right now, we're just asking to go ahead and retire Rocco, and then we'll continue on with the rest of the process as it comes up. But Rocco's with us, so you can take a look at Rocco and see he still looks pretty active. But as Officer Brown has said, he gets in the truck a little slower now than he used to, and he mostly just kind of looks kind of mean, but really he's a pretty nice guy. Anybody have any questions about that?
Where will he go? Will he go with,
We are going to, we're going to do a transition of the dog to the handler, which is what's normally done. It's a contract situation that we'll do. One thing is with the liability of having a trained police dog, you really can't send them to anybody else. And as long as the handler wants them, and Jesse does, they have a big bond. So that will be the plan that we'll be doing, one of our next steps.
Tim, tell us some accomplishments he's
What was that?
some accomplishments that Rocco's.
We'll bring that to you in August, but Rocco he's a great drug dog. He's actually had a great history in finding drugs. He came to us. He's pretty big, so he's tracked down a few suspects, several suspects actually, and Officer Brown's been able to use him in those scenarios for a long time. What's that? Lost kids? Yeah, actually had a situation where we had a missing child, and Rocco was able to track down the child and bring the child. We'll kind of put that together and bring you in August a nice synopsis of a lot of the different things that he's done. But he's actually, like I said, a great drug dog. Our new dog, Poss, that we're using, that canine handler, police handling, is actually learned a lot from Rocco along the way already, and has also got a real nose for drugs. So we'll bring that back to you and kind of give you a good synopsis of what he's done in his little over 6 years he's been with us. And that means he's 7.5 years old, so that means in dog years he's in his 50s. And I know how that feels, and I don't get out of the cruiser as fast as I used to either, so.
I was gonna say, he's probably younger than you. But I don't know that.
I'll be coming back to retire myself in a couple of years. So.
All right.
Any other questions?
Any other questions from the board? Okay. Do we need to take an action to retire him? We do? Okay. So I'll ask for a motion to retire Officer Rocco.
So moved. Second.
Made and second. Other comments? All in favor? And the motion carries. Thank you. Thank y'all.
They like take pictures too.
Okay, next then we have ordinance 2018-32, planning suite renovations. Chris?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. Typically, I wouldn't say it's difficult to follow behind Tim, but it is definitely difficult to follow behind Rocco and the contributions he has made to this organization. Tonight, I want to come to you a little bit and ask for consideration for transferring some capital project savings from two projects that we have. The facility condition assessment project that we have completed this year and the town's automatic transfer switch. We'd like to transfer those savings to our playing suite renovations. On May 30th, we took bids. Unfortunately, the lowest bid was $41,475. And so we are taking a two-pronged approach with this. The architect's working with the low bidder to do some value engineering and some minor scope changes. And we're also requesting y'all to transfer some funds to complete this project. So tonight we come in front of you to ask you to approve ordinance 2018-32, transferring $8,990 to the printing suite renovations. Be glad to answer any questions you have.
I don't have it in front of me, so I'll ask the question. We appropriated $39,500. The bid was
$41,475. Yes, sir. Of that $39,500, $8,300 was for architectural and engineering services, and so that left us a construction budget of $31,200.
Okay, that answers my question then.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to see how that.
How you
money-
broke, how the money was spent, yes, sir.
Right, okay, thank you. Other questions? Okay, next then we have ordinance 2018-33, planning suite renovations. Chris?
How the money was spent, yes, sir.
Right. Okay, thank you. Other questions? All right.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 2018-32.
Second.
Motion made, second. Other comments or discussion? All in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
Chris. Administration, budget ordinance.
Having concluded their budget public hearing tonight, the board is in a position that they have met all the statutory requirements to adopt the FY 2019 budget ordinance. The discussion before the board is as follows. Adopt the budget ordinance as proposed, modify the budget ordinance, or table the discussion until the June 13th work session.
Okay. Anybody have any comments?
Well, I'll make a motion that we adopt 2018 ordinance, 2018-38 as presented.
Second.
Motion made and second. Other comments or discussion? All in favor? And motion carries. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Nonprofit funding distributions.
All right, good evening. I'll just give a brief review of our policy. It is the policy of no more than $1,000 can go to any single group per year, and that we allocate no more than $5,000 in any budget year to all organizations total. And the organization must be a nonprofit. This current year, FY 2018, we donated to 5 groups a total of $4,500. For this upcoming year, just a review of the calendar, we sent the applications out to all potential applicants on January 2nd. Those were due back to us by February 12th. We received 8 applications for this upcoming year, requesting a total of $10,000. You may recall at the March 5th meeting, we had the groups, gave them an opportunity to come and speak, tell a little bit about themselves, and answer any questions that you guys may have had. And then tonight, we have the option to go ahead and decide who you might want to fund, if anybody. You'll see in your budget books on page C100 in the operating requested budget section of your book, that's C100. This is the nonprofit analysis that we did, just basically analyzing if they meet any of our goals, their nonprofit status, and a couple of notes on the 8 applicants. I think it's almost the last page or 2 in that section.
Question?
Any questions on that part?
Well, let's start then and work down the list
All right.
and see who you might want to give money to or might not want to help. The first is Interact, and I believe we did support them last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
2017 and 18, we have given them $1,000 each.
Okay. The Downtown Arts Council, we have never funded them before, but they are newly organized and now a 501c3.
Correct.
Okay. East Wake Education Foundation, long-term asset to Eastern Wake County. Zebulon Youth Football, I'm sorry, I don't know anything about that. Preservation Zebulon, we've heard from them off and on recently. Martin Luther King Breakfast, we've actually started that the town did, and still has continued to be a sponsor to it. North Carolina Family Training and Counseling Center, and then Shepherd's Care Medical Clinic. So are there any of these that you would take out immediately?
Take out the Zebulon Youth Football.
Okay. All right, anything else? Have we given to the family training and counseling?
This current year, FY '18, we did for the first time.
Okay, I just don't have that in front of me here for some reason, so, okay. So then the new ones beyond that, the Arts Council and Preservation Zebulon. That leaves us 7 left to divide the money up among. What's your pleasure?
Did we give a Shepherd's Care last year, Bobby?
Yes.
We did?
Yeah, they, from 2012 through this current year, we have 1,000 each year.
At the NC Family Training and Counseling Center for Clef. It seems like we support Camp I Can, but is the money we put in, will it go directly to Camp I Can, or does it go into a bigger pot and it's distributed out? How does that?
Yeah, they, according to our application, it goes directly to the camp.
Okay.
And these numbers, we can massage those.
Oh, yeah.
What do we want to do? Do we want to go down this list and?
Well, that's what I was trying to do, yes. So,
well, do you want individual suggestions, or we just
sure.
want to take one? And I'll give you what, and we'll go from there.
yeah, no, that's the starting point, sure.
All right, let's start with the family violence, the Interact. I say $1,000. All right, council, I give them 1,000. East Wake Foundation, I give them 1,000. Preservation for Zebulon nonprofit, 500. Martin Luther King Breakfast, 500. And Shepherd Care Medical nonprofit, 1,000.
Okay. Thank you. Start something going here.
We'll go from
All
there.
right, everybody got any modifications you want to make to that, or?
That's a total of $5,000.
That's right, that
That's the max.
takes everything we have.
Takes care of it.
Yeah.
I concur with Dale's numbers.
All right, anybody else? Guess not, would you make that as a motion?
I would make that as a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made and second, other comments or discussion? Looks like you want to say something. No.
That's good.
Let's discuss.
Okay, well, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Well, hold on. Did you have something else you wanted to say?
I do.
No, I just, if,
Okay, I don't want to cut you off here.
I know.
You know.
I'm fine with it.
Everybody good? Okay. All right, all in favor? Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Well, lo and behold, board comments. Annie, I'll start with you tonight. Anything you want to say?
I have things to say tonight.
Trevor? Bruce? Don? Dale?
I don't have anything
All right, well, thank you all. Joe, manager's report?
All right, several public service announcements, and then I'll recognize Bobby Fitz for some budget transfers. First of all, this Friday is family movie night. down at the community center at 7 p.m. and we'll present in the wildlife. The Relay for Life is also going to be this weekend. It's going to be on Friday, beginning at 5 p.m. on the front lawn here. And then the next day, the next morning at the Farm Fresh Market, the focus and the theme of that Farm Fresh Market will be Family Health and Fitness Day. So come get your healthy foods, participate in physical activity, and there's even biometric screenings available if you're interested in that. That will be offered on site. The following weekend at Farm Fresh Market is we will have a cook-off. There's 12 teams that are already signed up to compete in the People's Choice Barbecue Competition. So come get your free samples of barbecue pork and place your vote for the best barbecue. And just a reminder that the Farm Fresh Market operates each Saturday on the front lawn of Zebulon Town Hall from 9 until 1. And with that, I recognize Bobby Fitz to conduct some budget transfers.
All right, thank you, Joe. Just some cleanup items and covering a few unexpected expenditures, like part-time police salaries, for instance. We had some guys had to cover. We had a prisoner in hospitals, added staff at the hospital 24 hours a day. So that led to some increase in part-time salaries there. Had a few leaks, water leaks at the parks, causing some higher water bills we have to cover. And then some new employees in fire that had to put uniforms on, etc. And some increased costs in the 911 dispatch services for fire. So I will report these and I will be done. In finance, move 500 from contract services, 400 of that to contract services taxes, and 100 to insurance and bonds. And administration moved 4,700 from part-time salaries, 700 to travel and training, 500 to materials and supplies IT, and 3,500 to contract services IT. In planning, due to some high minimum housing cases and some tall grass code enforcement cases, postage is running over, so we're moving 1,200 to postage from advertising. Move 1,500 to materials and supplies, 750 of that from travel and training, and 750 from equipment maintenance. Move 2,000 to inspections, 800 of that from fuel expense, 500 from vehicle maintenance, 500 from uniforms, and 200 from advertising. Move 200 to insurance and bonds, 100 of that from computers, and 100 of that from advertising. Buildings and grounds, move 500 from professional services, 300 of that to janitorial, materials and supplies, 200 to cell phones. Move 550 from insurance and bonds, 450 of that to Highway 64 maintenance, and 100 to miscellaneous. Parks and Rec moved 1,200 from vehicle maintenance, 700 to equipment maintenance, and 500 to electricity and water, and that's it.
All right, thank you, Bob. Joe, I have one question. Is the cook-off now full?
Let me recognize Mr. Johnson. Could you?
Get an update from our farmers market manager today on whether or not it's full or not. She's working on it real hard. I know we've got several. Hopefully, if you want to get in it, we can certainly have some.
Well, actually, I had promised that I would.
I think she's counting on it.
And well, she was. And that's why she was not a happy camper when I left farmers market the other day. No, I'm actually out of town right up way on into that evening, and so it's kind of a problem. But in case I could work something out, my question is, how many? What's the cap?
It's 12 is the cap.
Okay, so you are full.
No, I'm not certain that we have the 12 yet.
Oh, well, that's what I'd understood him to say.
Right, I'm not certain if that's the case or not.
Would you find out, please?
Yes.
Not right this minute, but let me know. I'd appreciate it. Okay, thank you. All right, folks, we have a closed session as permitted by North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3 for the purpose of discussing litigation dealing with C. Thomas Hendrickson and Jill D. Hendrickson versus the town of Zebulon. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Made and second, all in favor? And the motion carries. Thank you, folks. We'll be in an adjacent room for a little bit, and thank y'all for coming tonight.